The pitch from Acevedo.
Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit.
Fly ball, gap, right center field. And
Double him up at second.
Luke is going back to the 1-8 track. Get out the right, run and Buster Grandma. It is grand salami time.
will send Seattle to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
Back-to-back wins for the boys as the Mariners pick up their first series since the middle of June, winning the first two games against the Anaheim Angels at T-Mobile Park. Huge starts from Brian Wu as well as George Kirby over the 2 days, and the offense finally waking up and scoring some fucking runs. Means the Mariners have 2 straight wins and are back above 500 as we sit here on the evening of June 30th, July 1st. Tomorrow, the Mariners have Wednesday off due to the World Cup being in Seattle. Make sure you enjoy yourself some soccer. But here we are talking about baseball. Hello and welcome to episode 175 of the Light the W podcast. As always, I'm Mahal Domingo Anderson. And today, we're not going to talk about the big league club all that much in terms of how they're currently playing. We're going to talk about the bullpen a little bit, and we're going to talk about how the Mariners might reinforce this bullpen and whether those reinforcements can come soon. So, without further ado, welcome to episode 175, and let's do this thing. All right. So, the Mariners bullpen. Let's talk about it. The Mariners currently, of course, are running with a 6-man rotation piggyback. Who even knows what it is, to be honest, at this point? It's a piggyback. It's a 6-man rotation. There are 6 starters on the big league club. That means that the Mariners are down a bullpen arm out in the actual bullpen. That means they are down to just 7 guys. Now, normally, those 7 guys would include Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, Gabe Spire, Jose Ferrer, Cooper Criswell, Edward Bizardo, and who knows? Someone else. And that's beside the point. As we stand right now, the Mariners are without Cooper Criswell and Matt Brash because they are injured. Hopefully, both will be back around the trade deadline at the very beginning of August. But even when they come back, they will surely be limited on how often and much they can throw. That means that this bullpen is gonna be limited and needs reinforcement. And that's going to come via trade at the deadline, very, very likely, and very, very hopefully. And that's going to be something that we discuss here on the show in depth, a lot, over the next 2 months. Over the next month, pardon. We only got like a month and a couple days until the deadline. That's something we're going to talk about in depth over this next month, is going to be trade deadline targets, especially in the bullpen. And that's going to be something we talk about on these Wednesday episodes, very likely a lot. Probably beginning next week. But today, we're not going to talk about trade targets. We're going to talk about the 2 prospects that everyone is talking about. We're talking about Kade Anderson and Ryan Sloan, 2 of the top 10 prospects in all of Major League Baseball, according to MLB Pipeline, 2 of the top 3 prospects in the Mariners system, and 2 of the top 3 or 4 pitching prospects in the game of baseball as we stand here. Maybe the best right-handed pitching prospect, and maybe the best left-handed pitching prospect in baseball right now. Kade Anderson, let's start with him. Drafted 3rd overall last year out of Louisiana State University, LSU, of course, who went on to win the national championship. The question is, when and if Kade Anderson will join this Mariners bullpen. Now, the question of whether or not Kade Anderson has the stuff to play in a Major League bullpen is beside the point, because he surely does. Right? He can dominate Double-A hitters right now as a starting pitcher. I believe he can dominate major league hitters, especially as a bullpen arm right now. Maybe tick up his velocity a little bit. But he's been virtually unhittable at Double-A. Opponents really have struggled. A whip of .70, an ERA of 1.22, and he's been great. Now, the question, though, is when this guy might join the bullpen. And here's why I'm going to argue it's not going to be anytime soon. He's thrown 119 innings last year in his college season. Didn't throw any in the minor league level last year for the Mariners after being drafted. Spent all of his time down in Arizona getting stronger, working on stuff that the Mariners needed him to work on, tweaking some pitches, stuff like that. But again, 119 innings last year in college at 20 years old, over 19 games and 19 starts. Then was drafted by the Mariners and has thrown 66 and 2/3 innings so far this season, over 13 starts. He's 6 starts short of what he reached last year, and even more innings. Roughly 50 innings short of what he threw last year. The Mariners are going to want to make sure they build him up beyond that innings threshold that he hit last year, so that should he be ready, when he's ready, very likely, next season to be a big league starter, they can have him do that and not have to worry entirely about his pitch count or inning count. In his college career overall, over 2 seasons, 2024 and 2025, he had 28 starts and 9 appearances out of the bullpen. He overall threw 157 1/3 innings pitched with LSU in college. Again, 119 innings last year. He's going to need to reach that threshold this year. Let's compare that innings work to Logan Gilbert and Trey Savage. Logan Gilbert, of course, of the Mariners. Trey Savage of the Blue Jays, a guy that more recently came out of college and very quickly made the jump to the big leagues and made an impact on a postseason World Series team just last year. We'll start with Logan Gilbert, though. Logan Gilbert was drafted in 2018 by the Seattle Mariners in the first round. Okay? 2018. Same draft as Cal Raleigh. He made his debut with the Mariners minor league affiliates in 2019, where he pitched across 3 levels. Single A West Virginia at the time, High A Modesto at the time, and Double A Arkansas. He threw a grand total of 135 innings in the minors that season. The year prior, he threw pretty similar to what Kade Anderson did, 112 1/3 innings at Stetson University. That was over 16 starts. Again, it's 112 1/3 innings compared to Kade Anderson's 119. And then he threw 135 innings at the minor league level the year after he was drafted. If you want to compare that to Kade Anderson, that's going to be roughly 140 innings that the Mariners are going to want him to throw if you compare it somewhat to Logan Gilbert. Now, is he going to get to 140 innings? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I don't know if they're going to want to go all that high. They're going to want to keep this guy healthy for sure. But I think that this Mariners team is going to want him to throw at least 100 innings at the minor league level as a starter. And that is at least another month, maybe 2 months, right? That puts him on track for a September call-up, not an August call-up, not a July call-up. When he gets to the big league level, they're going to want him to be able to throw innings to get closer and hopefully reach that 119 innings. They don't want him to throw 110 innings. They don't want him to throw 115 innings. I am sure they want him to throw at least 120 innings this year between the minors and the majors. Okay? Now, they're going to want to keep him healthy, all this stuff, of course, as well. And they want to be careful with him and not make him throw huge workloads of innings. But again, they want him to at least reach that point. Let's look at Trey Savage now. Trey Savage, his final year at East Carolina, threw 93 and a third innings over 15 starts. That was 2024. He then last year threw 98 innings in the minors before being called up to Toronto, where he threw 14 innings in the regular season over 3 starts, and then, of course, pitched in the postseason. But if you compare just his minor league numbers to his numbers in the NCAA at East Carolina, he threw 4 2/3 more innings in the minors than he did at East Carolina. You want to build these guys up to at least the same point where they were at. You don't want to break it down necessarily, right? You want these guys to be able to build up to the point where they can throw 200 innings in the big leagues. You look at Logan Gilbert again, right? Now, 2020 was cut short because of COVID. So what did he throw again in 2019? 135 innings. It was 112 in his final year of college. 2021, he threw 119 and a third innings at the big league level and just 5 innings at the minor league level, meaning he threw 124 and a third innings in total in 2021. That built up beyond what he did in 2019 and far beyond what he did in 2018. When the Mariners have Kade Anderson come up to the big leagues, they're going to want him to be able to start and throw 6 innings roughly every start, at least. They're going to need him built up to be able to do that over the course of an entire season in 2027, because he is very likely going to be on the Mariners major league roster all of next year. All of next year. He's going to be far ready for it, beyond ready for it, to do it next year. But you're going to need his workload to be at a point where he can consistently be at the big league level, and you're not going to have to manage his innings down the stretch when you're chasing the postseason, chasing the division, chasing a pennant, right? You're going to not want to have to be careful with him and limit him, because that's how you lose games, right? That's how your bullpen gets taxed down the stretch, and that's how your bullpen loses some of their flow, some of their success, right? Now, this is all talking about next year. This is all talking about the future, but you bring it back to this year. You guys and I all want Kade Anderson to be able to help this bullpen as quickly as possible. But you gotta think about the future with everything, especially with this organization. Kade Anderson, I truly don't believe will be up in the big leagues unless there are starting pitching injuries so that he can do that until September as a September call-up. Because his innings workload just isn't going to be at the point where they can truly do that without stunting and hurting his development, unless he goes and throws in the fall league. Maybe he does that even anyways, right? And ultimately, the big league club is the most important thing. But for a guy that is a potential future ace or number 2 starter in this rotation, you need to make sure his development is good, that he can stay healthy, that he can work on the stuff he needs to work on, whatever that stuff might still be, so that he is at his very best when the Mariners need him to be at his very best at the big league level. Ryan Sloan's a little bit of a different conversation because he is a guy out of high school. But the point I am making about a guy needing to be ready at the big league level or at the minor league level and throwing enough innings to be able to be ready for the big league level and to be a big league starter when his name is called is still relevant to Ryan Sloan. He was drafted out of high school in 2024. 2025, he made his debut in across 2 levels through just 82 innings. He's at 57 innings currently right now, 13 starts so far this year. He had 21 starts last year. That's 8 more starts before he reaches the same number of starts and appearances as he did last year. That said, he's only 25 innings short of what he threw last year. There's the potential that Ryan Sloan actually could be the first one added to this bullpen, because you're not going to feel as pressured to really, really push his innings. If anything, you could use the bullpen as a way to limit his innings at a point, because he is going to far surpass that 82 innings he threw last year should he start through the entirety of this year. Let's say he has 3-4 more starts of 5 innings more. 4 more starts of 5 innings on average. That gets him to 77 innings pitched. He's then 5 innings short of what he did last year. Call him up to the big leagues, have him be ready for the bullpen, or have him throw some bullpen outings down in Arkansas where he is right now, maybe even Tacoma, but more likely Arkansas, because the level of hitting and the high level talent is going to be better in AA than it is going to be in AAA. You have him throw some bullpen innings there, you get him closer to that 82 innings, and then you are able to manage him at the big league level. You get him to 90, you get him to 100 innings this year, and then you're able to maybe send him back to the minors next year, let him get some more work in down there, let him polish up some more stuff, make sure that he can be ready to maximize his innings next year, and then you have him ready middle of next year if an injury happens next year, or you have him ready down the stretch to potentially be a bullpen arm again next year, and have him ready to start late next year, middle of next year, and ready to throw big league innings consistently in 2028. A high school arm you're going to want to be very, very careful with. Highly volatile, really hard to develop. You got to be really careful with their innings, because you don't want this guy to get hurt and stunt his development at 20 years old. Okay. So we all want Kade Anderson added to this big league roster as soon as possible. We all want Ryan Sloan added to this big league roster really as soon as possible. For Kade Anderson, though, you have to make sure this guy gets his innings workload up enough that you can have him starting at the big league level for all of 2027. And you can't assume of a lockout. You can't do any of that. You have to have his innings ready. That means he's got to stay in the minors for longer than Ryan Sloan actually might have to, which might make Ryan Sloan the sooner addition. And with the stuff that that kid has at 20 years old, him out of the bullpen could be absolutely filthy for this Mariners team. Okay, that's the conversation we wanted to have around those two guys. It is definitely going to be interesting to see what the Mariners inevitably and end up doing here down the stretch with those two guys. But don't be surprised if you see those two guys start to throw out of the bullpen here sometime sooner, especially Ryan Sloan, so that they can not only limit their innings, but potentially be ready to help the big league roster down the stretch. Other piece of it, last note, September call-ups. Of course, you get an extra roster spot for a pitcher and a hitter, but a pitcher specifically. I expect Kade Anderson to be the September call-up for this Mariners team. I have no inside information. I don't really know anything, but that's my feel on it. That's my expectation, and he's going to hopefully deal in AA until then. You get him as a September call-up, and then you have him be able to help you push over the edge. That said, you're going to need deadline help as well, and that's something we will talk about in the future. However, let's move on.
This is Around the Horn. 4 updates on Major League Baseball over the past week.
All right, first, can someone tell the Texas Rangers to come back to real life? First base here, 6-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10 games, back in first place by half game on the Mariners right now in the American League West. Tell them to F off. Get back to real life. This isn't who you are. I don't believe this is who you are. You are not better than us. We're better than you. Also, Houston Astros, 7-3 in their last 10. They are now just a game and a half behind the Mariners. They can also F off and fall back into the depths. Second base, New York Yankees, 2-8 in their last 10 and on a 6-game losing streak. How about the New York Yankees doing what they always do? Great stuff. You're in second place now in your division, with the Rays winning 6 straight and 7-3 in their last 10. They're now 49-33. I haven't given this team a lot of credit, and a lot of it's because look at their record at home, 31-12. But there are only 8. They are 18-21 on the road, below 500 on the road, but have abused the Trop so far this year. Rays doing Rays things. I really don't fear them. I don't know if I fear anybody right now, and it's going to sound crazy with the way this team is playing, but the way that I believe this Mariners team can be and how good I believe this Mariners team can be with the talent that this Mariners team has, there is not a single team, especially in the American League, that I fear. Maybe the Dodgers over in the National League, but that is honestly probably it. Continuing at the AL East a little bit, Boston Red Sox, I'm sorry. Y'all got a positive run differential, +1, and you're 37-47. That is really, really sad. I'm really sorry for that. Your fans are suffering. But, it's the Red Sox. That's what happens. Chicago White Sox, +30 run differential. Wow. 45-39, 2 games up on the Cleveland Guardians right now in the AL Central, continuing to play good baseball, 6-4 in their last 10. Again, don't fear them, though. Look at the National League quickly. For our last note, Braves 3-7 in their last 10, 3-game losing streaks, though. Still in first place, 49-34. The Brewers 52-31, 7-3 in their last 10. They have been an absolute juggernaut and lead their division by 5.5 games on the 48-38 Chicago Cubs, who have a +43 run differential. Luis Castillo, you guys want him? Have him. Los Angeles Dodgers, best record in baseball, of course, 56-30. Screw them. Screw the Dodgers. We don't even like you. Can't wait to beat you in the World Series. Let's move on.
Welcome to Down on the Farm, your weekly segment talking about the Mariners farm system over the past week.
We've talked about the farm already a lot here on this episode, of course, because we have talked about Kade Anderson and Ryan Sloan almost exclusively on this episode. Right? But we're going to talk about Felnin Celestin. Hit for the cycle last week. What a freaking stud. Him, Johnny Farmello have home run, and Felnin Celestin, who has been working on getting to his power more, is really finding that power. He's really working on it. He's really finding it. And it's been really, really cool to see. Really cool to see. He's thriving right now, Felnin is. And the Everett Aqua Sox are a lot of fun. Make sure you get yourself up to one of their games, because what a freaking blast. That's all I got for the farm right now. I'm not able to find a whole lot tonight. I've been so busy. I'm off to Hawaii tomorrow morning, or tomorrow evening, so a lot going on. But let's get into our final and favorite segment.
It is time for Seattle Sports Wraparound with Mahal.
All right, Seattle Sports Wraparound. Is this our favorite? I don't know what our favorite is. I guess I just said this. Let's talk about the World Cup a little bit more. Of course, Seattle hosting Belgium and Senegal tomorrow should be an absolutely spectacular game. The weather might not be its finest moment, but it's Seattle. It's going to be rocking. The atmosphere is going to be sick. Should be a fantastic game. And the city's really showing itself off in the best way. And I'm really excited with what's happening. Hopefully the U.S. will win their game tomorrow evening and be able to play their round of 16 game in Lumen Field, Seattle Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Either way, great showing from Seattle. Been awesome to see. Seattle Kraken. We're not going to talk about the Jason Robertson thing, but they had the NHL draft last week, and the Seattle Kraken got a nice little pick. Falling from one of the top 3 picks in the draft, Chase Reed fell to 7th overall for the Kraken, and they were able to draft him. He'll be going to Michigan State. This is the first time the Kraken have selected a defenseman in the first round, and he sounds like he might be pretty freaking good. If you like hockey, pay attention to Chase Reed this year in college. But Mariners looking for a series sweep on Thursday. Of course, off Wednesday again because of the World Cup. Till next time. As always, go Ents. Peace.